What story are you holding back? What will happen if you let it breathe? What if your story is the gift someone else has been waiting for? Welcome back to Open Heart. I am your host, Lou Leslin. Today, we arrive at the finale of Season 1. We're here to talk about the thread weaving through every episode, every reflection, every moment we've shared, the power of storytelling. Humans are storytelling beings. We don't just live our lives, we tell them, shape them, and draw meaning from the chaos. In doing so, we discover something profound. Our stories are not just ours to keep. They are gifts for a world that needs to know it is not alone. There's something transformative that happens when we name an experience. Storytelling takes the invisible, the shame, the fear, the confusion, and makes it visible. It says, this thing that has been haunting you, it has a shape, it has a name, and now we can see it, we can work with it. From trauma to testimony, from silence to speech. That's the first gift of storytelling. It heals the one who tells it. But storytelling doesn't stop with the individual. It reaches outward. When I share my mother's story, the grief of losing her at 49, her unfulfilled dreams, I wasn't only speaking my truth. I reach out to every person who has lost someone too soon and carries unsaid words. When I spoke of immigration, the displacement, the constant translation of self, I reach anyone who has ever felt they don't quite belong. A story told in Kent, Washington, can resonate in Seoul, Nairobi, São Paulo. The details differ, but the pattern is the same. This is the architecture of empathy. Hearing my story, you don't just understand me, you recognize yourself. Storytelling breaks isolation's wall. It says, you are not alone. And yet, we hold our stories back. We fear judgment. We fear being too much or not enough. We worry our pain doesn't matter, or our joy will seem like bragging. So we wear masks. We perform versions of ourselves we think the world wants to see. When I named the Imposter Protector in our motherhood episode, I was naming both shadow and light. The exhausting hypervigilance was also the fierce love that kept Catherine alive. The mask I wore was also my strength. But here's what I've learned. Masks are exhausting. The freedom that comes from taking off the mask, from telling the truth about who you are, that freedom is worth the risk. Real courage isn't perfection, it's vulnerability. Telling your story imperfectly, honestly, with your whole heart. So I'll ask, what story have you been holding back? What will happen if you let it breathe? As a pianist and a teacher, I feel music is a dance between conscious and subconscious. I ask my students to discover stories living inside the music, then believe those stories themselves. because they can only make it real when they believe it. Imagination sparks the narrative. The narrative speaks to the heart. And it's not just music, it's how we move through the world, how we show up for each other, how we live our daily lives. That's a story too. This podcast is my sacred space to say, here's what I've learned. Here's what I'm still learning. Let's walk through this together. Let me tell you something I have come to understand. None of us chose to be born, yet here we are, finding our way by trial and error, learning that change isn't the enemy, is the teacher. We push a boulder up a mountain, watch it roll down, push it again. That's the human condition, absurd, relentless, meaningless. And yet, I'm grateful for every human who came before me, for their music, philosophy, stories that helped me find my way. I'm grateful for the animals, the planet, the smallest insects. Without them, I wouldn't be here. It all happens organically, not because we willed it or deserve it, because life regenerates itself. It self-organizes. It continues. Meaning may be illusion, but gratitude. Gratitude is the choice we make inside that illusion. To say, I didn't ask to be here, but I am glad I am. I didn't choose this life, but I will honor the ones who made it possible. In 1977, we sent Voyager into space. By 1990, billions of miles away, it turned back and took a photograph. Earth appeared as a pale blue dot, barely visible, suspended in a sunbeam. This is the wisdom we reach for. To hold meaninglessness in one hand and gratitude in the other. To see ourselves from 3.7 billion miles away. Everyone you love, everyone you know, every human who ever lived, every war, every kindness, every mother hold her breath, every child learning to ride, all of it on that tiny dot. From that distance, borders disappear. Continents become one body. The separateness we feel dissolves. Imagine the continent as a human body. Each of us is a cell, constantly regenerating. Death and birth happening simultaneously. Every desert sands goes through this reorganization. It's not chaos, it's pattern, the fundamental rhythm of life. We aren't millions of separate stories. We are one story, regenerating itself across the body of the earth. As we close Season 1, I want to thank you. Thank you for walking through these episodes with me, for opening your heart to these questions and stories. If Season 1 was about opening, naming what we carry, exploring who we are, honoring those who came before, learning to love ourselves, surrendering to the flow, then what comes next is deepening. Season 2 begins March 19th. We'll explore human consciousness, starting with thought capturing. But for now, here's what I want to leave with you. Our stories aren't just ours to keep. They're gifts we give to a world that needs to know it's not alone. So tell your story in words, in music, in how you live. Tell it imperfectly. Tell it bravely. Tell it knowing someone, somewhere, is waiting to hear it. Thank you for sharing this moment with me on Open Heart. I love to hear your story. Please reach out at lou@leslincreativestudio.com. This is a podcast where we share stories, ideas, and questions with openness and compassion. So together, we can be kinder and wiser to ourselves and each other. Take care.